In the village of Elderglen, where the fog lingered a little longer and the trees whispered ancient truths, there lived a cat unlike any other. His name was Corvin, and he was old, so old that no one in Elderglen could recall a time when he wasn't there. With eyes like molten gold and a coat as dark as the void between stars, Corvin watched the world with a gaze too knowing, too deep. While other cats chased mice or basked in the sun, Corvin watched people. He remembered their names, their joys, and their tragedies. He remembered births, funerals, stolen kisses, and broken promises. Elderglen changed over the years. Children grew old, houses fell and were rebuilt, generations shifted like leaves in the wind, but Corvin remained. No one questioned his presence. He simply was. Some said he brought luck, others whispered that he was cursed. But the truth, hidden even from Corvin for centuries, was that he had once been a man. A scholar of forbidden magic, Corvin had tried to preserve memory in its purest form, to store every moment, every soul into the strands of time. The spell went wrong. His body vanished, and his consciousness was reborn in the form of a cat. At first, he remembered everything clearly: languages, spells, histories. But with time, the human memories faded, replaced by lifetimes of feline observation. Still, something of the scholar remained: an ache, a vigilance, and the burden of remembering it all. Corvin's gift, or curse, was more than just recollection. He remembered not only his own experiences but those of everyone he came near. A glance was enough to trigger a memory: the innkeeper's long-lost son, the blacksmith's first heartbreak, the baker's quiet grief for a sister who never returned. It was all there in Corvin's mind, like a great library with no end and no silence. Most nights he perched on the steeple of the old chapel, staring into the stars, sorting through countless recollections. There were days he could not move, overwhelmed by the weight of centuries. But he stayed because he felt there was a reason. Somewhere in the tangle of memories, a purpose waited to be unearthed. One autumn evening, a child named Alin wandered into the village. Alin was strange, quiet, with eyes that flickered like firelight. Unlike others, he saw Corvin for what he was: not just a cat, but a keeper of stories, a vessel of lives. Alin sat beside him on the chapel steps, whispering nonsense at first, then questions, then names. To Corvin's shock, the boy remembered things too, things he shouldn't know. Shared visions began to form between them, a bridge of memory that defied time. Corvin had never met a human who could do this. Alin wasn't an ordinary child. He was the beginning of an answer Corvin didn't know he'd been seeking. Drawn together by forces neither understood, Corvin and Alin became inseparable. The boy brought him fish and spoke in riddles that felt like half-forgotten songs. In return, Corvin guided him, nudging him toward old ruins, forgotten books, and hidden places beneath the village where the air thrummed with ancient power. As weeks turned to months, the memories between them grew more vivid. They began to see visions not just of the past, but of moments that hadn't happened yet, alternate paths, futures suspended like threads in a web. Corvin began to understand. Alin wasn't just another soul, he was a vessel, like Corvin once was, born to hold and guard memory. Elderglen, it seemed, was no ordinary village. It was a crossing point, a temporal fault line where time unraveled and restitched itself with every passing season. The two had been chosen not by destiny, but by necessity. The past had become unstable. Forgotten moments had begun to escape, bleeding into reality. People dreamed of things they hadn't lived. Some vanished altogether. Corvin, who had remembered everything for so long, now faced a truth he feared. The world itself could forget. And if memory failed, what was left of reality? Their bond became their strength. Together, Alin and Corvin began repairing the fabric of memory itself. The cat would retrieve fragments, scents, sounds, shadows, and the boy would speak them into being, restoring them to their rightful places. They became known as the Rememberers. Most villagers still didn't understand, but they welcomed the strange peace that settled over Elderglen. Dreams calmed, the stars aligned more cleanly, but not all was healed. Deep within the forest, something stirred. A creature made of forgotten time, a specter that fed on lost truths. It had once been a god, or something like one, now twisted by eons of neglect. It moved through cracks in time, undoing the seams Corvin and Alin worked so hard to restore. Their final confrontation came in the dead of winter. Snow fell like ash as they faced the shadow in the heart of the ancient grove. Alin, holding Corvin close, whispered a name the cat had never heard but instantly recognized. His own. The boy had found it buried in the root memories of the village. Alin, he said, and Corvin remembered who he was. The memories rushed back, not just his own, but the weight of humanity's lost past. He stood tall not as a man, but as something beyond either form. Together, rememberer and guardian, they banished the shadow, sealing it within a song only they could sing. The world began to heal slowly, subtly. Elderglen bloomed with forgotten colors. Laughter rang clearer, and children told stories that had once belonged only to elders. Alin grew, though he kept the boyish gleam in his eyes, and Corvin, Alin, remained at his side. He no longer needed to remember everything. Now, memory lived safely in the hearts of others too. They passed their gift on, teaching new rememberers, ensuring that no truth would be lost to time again. Some say they still walk the village in dreams, a boy and a cat, whispering forgotten songs into sleeping ears. But one thing became certain. No memory, no matter how small, was ever truly gone. For in Elderglen, stories lived. And at the heart of them all was a cat with golden eyes who had once remembered everything, and a boy who reminded him why it mattered.